Good day everyone, my name is Ken Dazoranelia and I'm going to report about introduction to the concept of governance. In most dictionaries, government and governance are interchangeably used, but denoting the exercise of authority in an organization, institution, or state. So it means both governance and government are the means of authority or they show authority when we say authority. It identifies the political legitimacy which grants and justifies the ruler's right to exercise the power of government. And if moingon tag power, it means the ability to accomplish some authorized goals. Overall, authority means having a power para makabuhat og decisions, which is definition siya sa government o governance. Like naa sila'y power to make decisions to rule the country, like our president. Moving on, since we already talked about the definitions of authority, now we'll know the three kinds of authority, which whoever distinguishes. First, we have traditional authority. It is rooted in history. From the word traditional and it said rooted in history. It means na sa una pa lang siya gi-exist. Daan na siya, kumbaga, until now, existing gihapon siya kay nakasanayan naman. So, gina-exercise or ginasunod gihapon up until the present. For short, sa una pa lang, naana ni siya. Next is charismatic authority. Is a power of legitimize on the basis of leaders' exceptional personal qualities or the demonstration of extraordinary insight and accomplishment which inspired loyalty and obedience from followers. And kaning charismatic naman kay nagadepende ni sa leader or like president kumbaga sa namahala sa society or country. Naiuban ma-inspire or mosunod sa gusto sa ilang leaders pero na sa uban nga mo contradict and iba siyang leaders kay lagid sila gusto ana napamalaod. Okay, so the last one is legal authority. It means any provision of law or regulation that carries the force of law, including, for example, statutes, rules and regulations, and court rulings. From the word legal, so naa siya sa batas jud, naa siya sa law, and you don't have any choice but to follow it since if you don't, then you will have to face consequences. Then next, it said that to study government is to study the exercises of authority, according to Haywood in 1997. If you study government daw, kay mura sa study of how to exercise authority because government is closely related to politics. To study politics in this essence, to study government or more broadly, to study the exercise of authority, politics is the art of government, the exercise of control within the society through the making and enforcement of collective decisions according to Haywood in 1997. Basically, di ba naatay ginasunod na law and it is made by the government to exercise control within the society through the people and the government pod, by their decisions, collective decisions to be exact. When we say collective decisions, it means di lang siya kaisa ka tao na decisions, means gikan siya sa kadaghanan. So ay kailangan na ay law and ngano na may authority ang government to control the society. It is because to have world peace kay kung walay law and all gubot kaayo kay di man magkahimo og sala, diba? So need ang prominent jud ang law. Okay, so now let's move forward. Since the government doesn't only decide for all the civil society and the private sectors play vital role in the community, thus the conception of the word governance. When we say governance, it is a broader term than government. It is widely sense it refers to the various ways in which social life is coordinated. So, ang governance kay pasabot ana ang ways na giunsa ta pagmando sa government or giunsa ta pag-handle sa government. Good governance ba like makatarungan ta, pagdala or no? Lastly, it is also the process whereby societies or organizations make their important decisions, determine who has voice, who is engaged in the process, and how account is rendered.
The art of governing. To govern is to exercise power and authority over a territory, system, or organization. This applies to both government and governance. The exercise of authority is uppermost in government and remains significant in governance, but is no longer the single focus. This is because the power in governance is not so much wielded as shared in authority is defined, not so much by the control of the ruler. Just like how the leader of Russia, Vladimir Putin, what he did was purposeful, and although people does not understand the danger his country will be in if Ukraine joined NATO, he invaded Ukraine only to protect his territory. Even though many of his people are against his judgment, he exerts his power and authority as the leader of the government of Russia. Next, we have in traditional parlance, government rules and control, but in governance, each orchestrates and manages. These contrasts may seem overdrawn, but we will flesh out and qualify them as the discussion proceeds. Ruling and orchestrating rests on different bases. To rule is to be sole authority for which the appropriate response is to obey. A government that rules relies on force to exact compliance, and we know from the introductory political science that the state has the monopoly of legitimate violence. It enacts law binding on all in the inhabitants and metes out sanction according to these laws. It delivers services to passive recipients who have little influence in the definition of the program or the eligibility, requirement, and methods. By contrast, to orchestrate is to call on everyone to play a part in moving the society. Power rests on the trust the player have on the director and on each other. Because built on trust, transparency in the conduct of government is essential. Laws still bind all, but they are laws that they have a part in bringing about. Accountability is shared, and they who have the greatest power bear the greater responsibility. Last we have is all governing is an act of leadership of moving a society towards a perfect direction. While government can have a connotation of being interested only in maintenance and in preserving peace and order, governance implies leadership towards societal development. This is shown in the following passage from the International Institute of Administrative Sciences. Governance is the process whereby elements in society wield power and authority and influence and enact policies and decisions concerning public life, economic, and social development.
Governance and Sustainable Human Development. UNDP believes that developing the capacity of good governance is a primordial way to eliminate poverty. Nation of goods governance and the link between governance and the sustainable human development vary greatly. However, both in academic literature and among developing practitioners, UNDP in 1996. So what is sustainable human development? Human development as an expanding choice for all people in society. This means that men and women, particularly the poor and vulnerable, are at the center of the development process. It also means protections of the life opportunities of future generations and the natural system in which all life depends. in which all can enjoy long, healthy, and creative lives. Economic growth is a means to sustainable human developing, not an end in itself. Human Developing Reports 1996 showed that economic growth does not automatically lead the sustainable human development and the explanation of poverty. For examples, countries that do win rank by per capita income often slip down the ladder when ranked by a human development index. There are moreover marked disparities within countries, rich and poor alike, and this becomes striking when human development among indigenous peoples and ethnic minorities is evaluated separately. And there are five aspects to sustainable human development. First is empowerment. The expansion of men and women's capabilities and choices increases their ability to exercise those choices free of hunger, want, and deprivation. It also increases their opportunity to participate in or indoors. Second is cooperation. With a sense of belonging important for personal fulfillment, well-being, and a sense of purpose and meaning. Human development is concerned with the ways in which people work together and interact. Third is equity. The expansion of capabilities and opportunities means more than income. It also means equity, such as an educational system to which everybody should have access. And the fourth is sustainability. The needs of this generation must be met without compromising the right of future generation to be free of poverty and deprivation and to exercise their basic capabilities. The last is security, particularly the security of livelihood. People need to be free from threats such as disease of repression and from sudden harmful disruption in their lives. UNDP focuses on four critical elements of sustainable human development: eliminating poverty, creating jobs and sustaining livelihoods, protecting and regenerating the environment, and promoting the advancement of women.
The need for good governance, or why governance matter. Good governance creates a strong future for an organization by continuously steering towards a vision and making sure that day-to-day management is always lined up with the organization's goals. So meaning, good governance is about leadership. The right-based approach to governance implies that the holders of rights should also participate fully in deciding how those rights are fulfilled, such as through participation and greater empowerment. Another vital attribute of governance in MDGs is efficient and effective administration. One of the examples of good governance is in Indonesia, which for decades until the late 1990s, they had a strongly centralized administration. Now, the democratic government in Indonesia has not only offered free and fair elections, it has also enacted a radical process of decentralization. Another example is the government of India, wherein it is determined to be more responsive and accountable to the public. The further governance priority in Asia and the Pacific is the fight against corruption, which degrades the quality of governance and hits hardest at the poorest.
So, good day everyone. I am Christina M. Otatan. So, my report is all about histories of governance. So, if Maxwell were and withdrawal zones were to suddenly appear on the landscape of modern public administration, normative histories enhanced, it is likely could be unable to recognize the field of governance. In this conflicts, devolved mood and service delivery, the unit of analysis of some student of policy implementation is the network or non-profit organizations, private firms, and government. There is a pervasive, shared, and global perception of governance as a topic of broader than government. The governance approach seen as the new process of governing or the change of conditions of ordered rules or the new methods by each society is governed. On my own understanding about my report, it most concerns governance is the historical concept referring to the actions and process by each state practice or organization opportunities and practices.